I think what the normal guy probably didn't understand is this guy's running into brick walls. I loved it.
Brandy or beer?
Brandy.
Bulls or Munster?
Munster.
Ball carries or tackles?
Ball carries.
Flank or Eightman?
Eightman.
Paul Jim or Oakdale?
Tough, Oakdale.
My ball! My ball! At 7, he's got nothing. He doesn't want to tackle. He just wants to go for the ball. Run at him, yeah? Hit me if you want. My ball! Start from you now, yeah? Let's go! The ball is ready!
2016-17 was my best years in my professional career. My role was, that I understood was, my role was to take it up, pull a few guys in, make 3 or 4 meters, and then we start spraying the ball, That feeling you get when your blood has moved to a space where it shouldn't be. Like, you get this tingle. I love it.
Here's a great strike move by Arnold. Keith Olds, 33 tries already, and the step and he's a hugely emotional moment for CJ Stander on his 51st and final appearance for Ireland.
Morning, everybody. I hope you're all nice and fresh. Our intention here this morning is for you to understand a bit about CJ's life, and hopefully when you leave here, you can take some learnings and stuff that you've learned about him out with you. They say tough times don't last, tough people do. This man has had hectic stuff in his life. People have written him off. People have told him he will never make it. Well, you saw in the video he did. We're going to have a good discussion, but I think the first thing I want to kick off, how did we get him here? So for those of you who don't know, the current Springboks charge astronomical amounts to talk, and people can say it's the right. And we made calls, and it was like ridiculous. So I called him because I'd heard him speak at the Extra Valley. I said, CJ, ons het die CGA, wil jy kom praat hier? So, nee, dit lyk wat, hoeveel moet ek vra? So ons ooreenkom, we agreed on an amount. But I could see he wasn't like completely committed, and I just said to him, do you like hunting? Yes, and I just saw his eyes popped open. I said, daar's 'n koedebil in die Oos-Kaap wat vir jou wag, 'n groot, 40 duim plus. Hy sê, Andrew, ek het my dag wil kry, wanneer moet ek daar wees? So, I wanted to say, any earlers from Two Rivers, any was actually a professor of chemistry and physics at the University of Port Elizabeth. He was my rugby coach for many years. I'd like Annie just to stand up. Where are you, Annie? Please stand up, Annie. Give me a round of applause, guys. So, we went out for dinner last night with Maurice, his son. It looks like his hunting trips moved on into state level. I think he's going to be here for about 3 months, but it's awesome to have all you guys here. I just want to give CJ a quick feel. All those producers in other countries, Zimbabwe, Swaziland, Botswana, can I have a show of hands, please? Right, we're going to move into Beitbridge, Oregstad, Hoedspruit. Show of hands, please. Letsiteli. Yes, okay, good stuff. Nelspruit, Komati, Onderberg, KZN, I saw Norman here from Carisbrook, Fowler Farms. Let's move here into the Eastern Cape, Addo Kirkwood. Nou moet baie hande wees. Kom, waar is die Kirkwood, Addo manne? Daar sê Kookhuis.
Hulle is nog in Barnies.
Barnies. I think that Barnies still. Jock Dankwitz, Cat River, Citrus. Right, then we move into Hankie and Paterson. Loerie, ek hoor daar's 'n paar manne van Loerie hierso. Loerie's a little town. Hulle is nie deel van Paterson nie, Loerie. Then we move along to Swellendam. Any guys from Swellendam? Then we move a bit closer, Robertson, Abata, Nay Valley, the Fani Nodeer from the Nose, yeah. Where's their team, yeah? Then we move into the Paarl region in the Western Cape. A lot of core fruit guys, yeah. And then we move into Citrusdal, ALG, Maton Citrus, I saw a lot of you guys here. And then we go into Clanwilliam. Have I left anybody out? Marble Hall, Groblersdal, sorry, Groblersdal. Yeah, awesome to have you here. So CJ, all these guys are here, and I think everyone's dealing with serious challenges. I mean, it's insurmountable, and I think it's just great to be here, and it's great to have you here. Because guys, there's no difference from him playing rugby or for you farming in Letsiteli or Groblersdal, managing a team, keeping everybody happy. He comes from a farming background, and you went to Oakdale Landbou. Could you perhaps give us a bit of background there?
Yeah, my dad farms that have always farmed in George. He's the one of the guys. I met one of the dairy farmers last night, but he's one of the dairy farmers who wants to struggle. So he likes to do the dairy. We don't have a big herd, but farming was always part of us and part of me. And I think that's where I started with my journey as a player or as a person. You know, I think firstly for me to be here today is an honor and a privilege, because I think we've got producers and we've got exporters and we've got people moving the stuff, and there's a mixture of us here. But that's where I probably first hand started learning resilience, how to make a positive situation out of a negative, you know. And I think I owe that to my dad, and in a special place that I could have called home as Oakdale. There was an easy transition to go from there to Oakdale, and the only bad thing about going to Oakdale is that the English class is in Afrikaans. So we'll get to the story when I moved to Ireland, but I remember we had it, Juffrou there, her name was actually Miss Dominee, but she would say in Afrikaans, hierdie woord beteken de in Engels. And then we never spoke the language, really, so, and we didn't listen. But, you know, those first years cultivated me into a person that, and I worked with a lot of great people along the way. We're probably going to discuss them now, but having that farming background and environment, I think I'll never shy away from that or say that it was a negative impact. It was always great to have that background and the hard work, really, you know, and that resilience. You know, it's something that all of us here as Afrikaners and South Africans, and doesn't matter where our background's from. That's one thing about the Afrikaners. Ons is tyd, papa.
Net so. Interesting, he's the only player that played 2 years SA schools and 2 years SA under 20, and he was captain. Then he went off to the Blue Bulls. How was that experience, those couple of years at the...
No, lekker. I got a flood of memory this morning at breakfast. Chelibo Lapela is here in the back as well. And he was a good friend of mine at the Bulls. I enjoyed the Bulls. The days there I was lucky enough to be part of the training squad when I was 17. But, I'm going to go back to my previous years. When I was 16, I played Grand Como. And I think that's the first time that I realized as a young boy that you need to make decisions in your life and you have to go down the route that you want to pick yourself and then commit. I was playing Grand Como, and I didn't play one game. I was on the bench and I came off, and I remember my mom took me to the McDonald's in Worcester. Don't know if anyone's been there before. They sell a lekker Big Mac, but that's about it. Lekker warm daar. Maar na die toernooi, and she said to me, do you want to still do this thing, play rugby? And at that stage, I didn't play one game in the Grand Como starting. And I said to her, I'm going to give myself a goal, and I want to play SA schools next year. So that means I have to be under 17, play for SVD. It's nogals moeilijk if you think about it. SVD is one of the pockets in South Africa where a lot of talent is. It just doesn't get harnessed. But, and then I have to play well to get into the SA school side. And then the next year, I was captain of the SWG side, and I played SA academic week or team that year. Played long guys like Robert Everson, Patrick Lambie, Elton Jantjies, Sia, you know, the guys who went on and played Springboks. And just that mind shift I made to say, look, I'm going to pursue this, I'm going to do it, and I committed fully.
Wow.
So,
yeah, guys, and this to me is the crux of what. So he had a hectic conversation with Heineke Meyer, who was then then the coach of the Springboks. I've played a lot of rugby as well. I've never in my life heard what happened here to anybody. Can you take us to that conversation with Heineke, what he told you? He pushed his wijsvinger in your face.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I remember I was the Bulls and things were going well, and obviously played SA schools, and now my dad used to say to me, when you start getting cocky and you come to the farm, I'm going to give you a moerse pakslaag. But I was on that verge of getting a moerse pakslaag, because you're under 20 now, you net begin brandewyn drink, and it's lekker. Pretoria was a great place, you can ask Chile in those years. But and then I was playing well, and I thought, I'm playing Super Rugby, I'm going to be a Springbok. Well, that was my goal anyway, one day. And remember, Heineke sat me down, he said, look, you're small, you're not big enough, you're too small, and you're going to have to play hooker from now on. Yes, and I remember I did 3 or 4 scrums with Chile and them, and Derek Keane back then. And I just realized, hey, dis nie vir my nie, I can't do this. I am too soft to be in the front row, so ek sal dit vat. And I said to him, look, I'm not going to do it. And it got to a point where I had to fly my dad up from George to sit down and say to him, look, he's going to come back to the farm after his contract, because there was a discussion that you're not going to get a contract again. He's going to come back to the farm. Thanks for everything. He's going to suckle with me there in the dairy. And that was the end. I got invited to a Springbok camp, and we played here in Port Elizabeth against, there was the England incoming tour, 2012. And sat down again. The guys in my area we were young guns. So Sia, Francois Venter, Piet van Zyl, can't remember all the names now because of that. It was quite busy those years. But anyway, so then my grandmother passed away. All these things worked out, and we sat in a room. Heineke called us in for a one-on-one, and he said, look, I just brought you to camp to show you what you're not going to get.
Wow. Yeah. Fuck.
So,
Yes. Sure, guys. So then he made a decision. He went overseas because Munster said, you're not too small. We want you. And he met a guy that I'm going to tell you, it's an incredible story, because all of us here in dark times, you've had people help you. Every one of us. There's not one person here that's been in a dark place, in a really dark place, and you've had someone just lift you up, someone to support you. And we're going to talk about that, but on a lighter note. So off he goes to Ireland, can't speak a word of English. I mean, the English classes were in Afrikaans before, and you only talk Afrikaans. And he was parked off at a residence, and he had to walk. But there was a big misunderstanding there. Could you take us through that, please?
Yeah, obviously being a South African boarding school scholar, the English caught me off guard straight away, and I remember flying into Amsterdam, and I went to go fetch my bags because I never traveled alone. I always traveled with a team, so I thought I had to go get my bag in Amsterdam and put it on a plane to Dublin. They stopped me at passport control and said, "Where are you off to, sir?" I said, "No, I'm going to get my bag," and I couldn't. I was so confused where I needed to be, and anyway, got to Ireland, got to the team, and I remember sitting down in meetings. I could listen, I could take things in, but I couldn't express myself. Anyway, so the manager said, "Look, CJ, don't worry. We're going to put you in a hotel for 4 or 5 days." I said, "Yes, I'm worried because when we drove in, it's like one of those fancy hotels where they advertise the night rate on the boards in euros. I think it was €200 a night. So I thought, R4,000. I think I sold. Chili would laugh. My dad, I had a few in Nguni, so my nickname at the Bulls was Nguni. I sold 10 cows, I think, back then. So I had 20,000 rand. So now 5 nights, 4,000 rand. I'm in the red, yeah. I don't have any money. I was in a junior contract at the Bulls. And I just got engaged, so I paid for the Stearns ring for ridiculously. So I'm in trouble. Anyway, so my wife and my family-in-law is coming in December, so this is now November. I need to get a house anyway, but I know I'm going to get paid at some stage, end of November, but I have to get there, 30 days. So I worked out, I've got 4,000 rand left to eat. Anyway, got to the hotel, got in, said, I'm not I'm not sure how things work. Went to the local shop. They have it was like a corner shop that we normally have, like a corner shop. I'm not going to say the name, but went in. I bought a 6-pack or 12 packs of eggs. I promise you, quail eggs, this size, and then there was surely a geese egg. Daar was 'n gans eier daarin. Maar een van hulle was blou ook, so moet 'n duifeier wees, maar hy's nou in. So and I koop toe and I bought a bale. I promise you, a bale of 2-minute noodles that Chinese make. So I don't understand what's going on there. I just see colors. So blue, brown, red. So I think blue in my head. I thought chicken. Brown is probably beef. Red, I'm like, yes, miskien 'n bietjie van 'n holbrand hierso, maar anyway, so I went back to the hotel, cooked the kettle, so I cooked the egg inside, and then I took that warm water into the 2-minute noodles. So that was my meal for 5 nights. At training, they used to give us food. So the Irish love bacon and cabbage. I don't know if you've ever been to Ireland. They vat a full cabbage, throw it in your plate, and then they take cooked ham on top, 3 or 4 slices with white sauce. It tastes like cool. That's all it tastes like. So you can just imagine the smell. But anyway, I used to eat 3 or 4 plates because I knew if I have 3 or 4 plates now, then tonight I don't have to use my eggs, my quail eggs and stuff. And I remember Paul O'Connell, he's obviously an Irish legend. He went to the coaches and said, this guy, he's bought into the culture. He's eating our food. He loves it here. I'm like, all right, okay, I'm just getting food in. Anyway, get in. So the 5 days are over, and I befriended one of the players, as you do as a resilient South African. I said to him, look, can I come stay at your house for the next 25 days? I'll pay you when I get my money. No problem. Great guy. So anyway, got to the hotel, last day, checking out. As I walked past the reception, the lady goes, sir, did you enjoy your stay? I said, yeah, it's just unbelievable. It's a 5-star, 4-star hotel. She was like, did you enjoy the spa and the pool area? I said, I didn't, because I thought you had to pay for it. She goes, no, that was for free. I said, yes, okay. And then the next thing broke me completely. She said, did you at least enjoy the complimentary breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Yeah. So that's the language barrier killed me straight away.
Yeah. Right, so he's in a junior contract at Ireland. Now he gets recognized and he gets promoted into the Irish squad. So he gets upgraded. And then the big call came, you were going to play for Ireland. How did that feel, particularly after you were told this is what you're not going to be? You're not going to be part of it. Was that like a sense of redemption for you that, flip it, this is what I can get?
Yeah, if I look back at it now, and I got emotional earlier on, I didn't get emotional about that conversation. I got emotional because going through that time of my life, it was quite tough, and I haven't been there. You took me there now. I feel like you're a therapist, but if I look back at it now, I spoke to Heineke a few times after this now, and I'm actually grateful for that, because I remember I was so angry in 2013, 14, 15. I trained so hard. I made sure I was in the building at 6 before the cleaners at Munster, because I wanted to show them that I'm here. I'm here to perform and I can do this. I was out last. I trained hard. I was the fittest. I was the strongest. But I was so angry, and that anger helped me to get to a stage where I got a phone call from Joe Smith saying that we want you to play for Ireland. Would you want to play for Ireland?
Wow.
And looking back at it, I wanted to be a Springbok when I was younger. I mean, if you say something different, if I said something different, I'm going to lie to you. And I've got a lot of friends here who would call me on that today. And even when I got to that point, I never knew I could play for Ireland, but when I got to that point, after the coaches that we're going to discuss, what they've put into me, time, money, effort, all those experiences I had with those players, I almost felt that I needed to give something back to them in my way when I was playing. And in that video, my best years were 16, 17, 18. And I was so grateful for that opportunity, but I was also grateful that I could get to a point where I can give back to someone,
yes,
into a union and to a club.
Yes.
Because the people in Ireland are special. They are special.
So when I met CJ a couple of times in Paul, and he said to me he wants to talk about a guy that made a huge impact in his life. And I think those of you who've played sport, there's always like defining few moments in your life, and I'm going to put a picture up here.
There we go.
So CJ came into contact with a guy that believed in him Anthony Foley, and his nickname was Axel Foley. I want you to talk a bit about him, what he meant to you, and then I wanted you to talk about the slide that's in front.
So when I arrived in Ireland, there was a lot of, there's one South African, maybe two. I think John de Villiers was there before me, but there was almost like the Irish do their thing and the rest of them do their thing. But Axel was our coach, and he also played for Munster. And he said to me from day one, on Sundays, you're coming to my house with your family, and you're going to eat there every Sunday, like I used to have on the farm when we had to braai and stuff like that. So he pulled me in from day one. And at some point, in life, the people that you should love the most or have the most respect for, you feel sometimes they're very honest towards you. So you almost feel that they're against you, but they're not. If you look at your friends and my friends today, my best friends are the people who give me the most trouble to get the best out of me. And I hope you understand that. They push you to a point. They don't want to fluff you. They don't want to tap your back and say, "Lekker man." They push you to be better, and that's what he did. He made sure he was straight honest to me, and that's the biggest thing I took away from Ireland is honesty. He said to me when I arrived, I wasn't good enough for Europe. I need to work on my work rate and my fitness and all those things. And we went through a phase at Munster. I was lucky enough to be captain in 2015-16. We lost 15 games in a row.
Wow.
We brought in me as a captain, him as a coach, head coach, to the IRFU, and they said, "We're going to fire Axel, and then you're going to have to turn the boat around, you and other few players and a new coach." And that's when Rassie came in. But we got to a point where we got so connected in that struggle to try to turn this thing around, because Munster is one of the first teams who won the European Cup. And but anyway, so unfortunately, he passed away on a Friday night before we played the Racing Metro in the European Cup in the hotel. And I remember he was always the guy. If I was there at 6, he was there at 6:01, or he was there because he wanted to beat me to training. He was obviously a coach. But the next morning we get down to the hotel, we were doing our lineouts. He wasn't there, and he was always there. And he passed away that night from a heart attack. And I remember going to training on Monday. We didn't play that game, and they said to us, "Do you want to play the next game?" And he was the type of guy, no egos. He always said, "No egos. Leave your ego at the door." And we all said, "Let's play in honor of him." Played that game, played very well. We had 14 guys. As long as if you want to, I can chat you afterwards about the story. But this picture, we went to Chicago in 2017, and the All Blacks back then was unbelievable. They just beat South Africa the year before, the year after, 55-0 in Auckland. I don't know if you remember that, the train crash. But the players sat us down, and they said, "Look, we need to make a figure of 8. He was the 8th man. And they put all the Munsters players in the front. So I'm not sure where I am now. I think I'm to the right there of Johnny Sexton. Conor Murray. Anyway, we're in the front. And that's where my religion comes in. That day I felt a wind blowing through us as a team. And you need to remember, in Ireland it's quite difficult, religion, if you start talking about that. They've got big history about Protestants and Catholics. So most of them don't believe. But anyway, they did feel something also. It's the first time in a haka where the guys didn't connect. They just stood there. We just stood there, listened to the haka, and we beat the All Blacks the first time in 111 years that day.
Wow.
We didn't prep well. We weren't the best team at all, but we had one goal there, and it's to kick the living shit out of the opposition, and that's what we did. Yeah.
You put that next slide on. I'm trying to.
Now it's back to me. Sure.
Yeah. So that was that. Yeah, that's what the man looked like. Huge respect on. What do you think when you see him? What made him so good?
To be Straight down the line, he was one of the most honest, no ego type of guys who just wanted the best for the people around him all the time.
Wow.
He's a guy who made sure he took a situation, and this day of age, if you got a situation or a circumstance where things not your going way, the easy route, 99% of the time is go, I'm out of it, or you turn negative, you just pull away. Where I think that's what he instilled in us as a team and me as well. He always took the positive route, find a solution. Might not be the right solution, but he made a plan, and he said, "Look, I'm going to make a stance here, and I'm going to say right, yes or no. If it's the wrong decision, then at least I made a plan."
Wow. So this man who was written off ended up playing for the British Lions. And Warren Gatland was the coach. Borthwick was assistant coach. Who were the two other coaches there with the British Lions?
Borthwick, Andy Farrell, and Rob Howley.
Rob Howley. How was that experience? Apparently you drank a lot of beer after those games.
Yeah, so when you go into the Lions store, you get the best of the best, and then you get together, and you've only got 6 or 7. Well, New Zealand we had 5 weeks. So we, as Munster, we just lost in a European final. We got on a plane and on our way to Auckland. So got in Auckland, and you realize, as we landed, we realized there's an A and a B side straight away. And unfortunately, that's how it works. There's not a lot of time to fluff around. And the B team that I was on, we got the nickname Mixed Veg. So if you think about mixed veg, it's gemengde groente. Everyone who cooks mixed veg looks more so nice in the shops. And that's all the nice players. But as soon as you get it to the house, you don't eat it the first night. You move it in the corner of the freezer, and then it starts falling out and it crumbles in the bottom. That was us. So anyway, we were a mixed veg team, and we used to play on Tuesdays, and then the A side, because we played local teams, the first 6 matches, and then we go to the 3 tests. So we used to play on Tuesdays, Wednesdays off, where the A side would play on Saturday, and they would train a week. So we realized, right, the chance of getting to the A side is nogal moeilik. But they had this check-in system every morning where you have to say how you feel out of 10, body-wise, stiffness.
Like a form.
Yeah, form, yeah, on an iPad, yeah. Ek het nogal so sukkel with the English and the all those things, but if it was a pen and paper, like a monkey puzzle, it would be quite easy. But you'd say how you feel out of fitness, mental, strength, all those things. So on a Wednesday morning, typically what would have happened, the mixed veg B team, they would say stiffness 10 out of 10, because we just played a game on Tuesday. So obviously, but I saw that if I could say I feel great on all of those things, I feel zero, I literally feel zero, I'm happy to go to train. I can get on the bus to the training pitch on Wednesday, at least when I need a player. And that's my way into the A side. And I did that for 4 weeks. I said, played on Tuesday, then I would train full on Wednesday with the A side. And then I got myself from the B side onto the bus with the A side, onto the bench with the second test, play the third test. So that's, I don't know if it's stupid or smart, but I got myself into that bus, and I turned a difficult situation where it's, in 6 weeks, I'll tell you now, if you have kids, do any sport, to change a coach's mindset in 6 weeks. Garth did it with the Springboks in the 70s. But you don't have time to change his perspective, especially when you've got the end goal of winning a test. So you need to think out of the box. So if you have kids and they're not in the A side, it takes time to get to that A side hockey or netball or rugby. So don't put too much pressure on them, but just let them know they need to find a way. And that's why one thing if you take something away today, find a way to make a plan or to change someone's perspective. Yeah.
Warren Gatland's obviously just been fired from Wales. How was he as a coach?
There's obviously cameras here, but I've worked with a lot of great coaches, really? And Gatland is a great guy. He's a dairy farmer background, great guy. Chat's nice, you know. He showed me a few places in Auckland, big dairy farms. But a coach, I remember on a plane with Ireland, we used to have a game plan A, B, C, and D set out fully. And I went on the plane to him and on the way to Auckland, and I said to him, Coach, I just want to quickly see what the game plan is. You know, what are we going to do from here and here? And he goes, Nah, mate, you just play what you see. And every time I see Wales play, I see that. They've got no clue what's going on. So, great guy. I think he pulls people together. He's almost like one of those coaches. Like I think Jake is the same. White. He gets great coaches underneath him, and he manages the players very well.
Yes.
But from a coaching perspective, yes, when he said to me, play what's on, and then I see them play the first game of the Six Nations ago, the game plan is still in the plane, that's gone.
CJ, then you mentioned you came to like a crossroads where it was very difficult for your wife and your child. It's cold, you don't know people there, and you called it a day after 51 tests. Just interestingly, the best award that you can get is the Players' Award. Because the players know the best. Not the coach, the players know the best. And he won the Players' Player of the Year at Ireland 3 years and at Munster. What he also didn't tell you about that coach at Axel, when they came back to the home field at Limerick, Axel's wife asked him to walk on with her and the kids. And they started singing at Limerick for about half an hour. And he said to her, omkyk, everyone was like crying. And one gets quite emotional, but that's like deep stuff. That's like special stuff. And I think what we've seen and experienced here is awesome. And I think that's like real, authentic caring. And I think that's something with coaches. People say, moet hard wees op hulle, but you got to care. And from what you're telling me, Foley cared about you.
Yeah.
That's why all his intentions were good for you. So you came to an end. How did that all come about? That must have been quite emotional as well.
Yeah, I think COVID happened, and I was lucky enough to get a phone call from a friend who said, look, they're going to lock down all the countries for 2 or 3 weeks at least. So me and my wife and our daughter jumped on a plane, flew to George on a farm, and then 2 or 3 weeks turned into 6 months. And then I realized how special Africa and South Africa is. Ons maak 'n plan, ons gaan vorentoe, but we live in a world where we've got challenges, but at least now we know what it is, and we know how to handle it or navigate ourselves through a difficult situation. And what we have here is you can jump in a car, if you're lucky enough, you can be in the ocean in 1 hour. Or as you said, you can jump in a car and you can be an hour away from hunting, stuff like that. So I realized how special it was. So I went back and I don't do it a lot, but I do write stuff down at the start of the year, what I want to achieve, what I want to do. And I went back to a diary of 2009 when I was 19. And my 3 top points was, what do I stand for? What's my main 3 things in life? It was my geloof, religion, it's my family, and then enjoyment in anything I do, not just rugby. And then I reflected on that, and we were at training in Limerick, and it was at the reën, boys and girls, Limerick reën 350 dae. If you were a rainfall harvester in that country, you would print money. But so it rains a lot, and we had a 2-year-old daughter. My wife was missing a family. I was as well. I missed my dad. I missed my mom. So I sat down and I looked at that, and in that instance, this finger is like that. It's not to scratch my nose or other parts, but it's broken. So it can't bend anymore. That's it. So it looks funny. And a lot of people who's from Grey or Gim, they think I want to greet them that way, but I don't want to. Because they obviously tell you first in what school they were, and then they greet you. But it's broken. But they stood on my hand that day, and I got up, and I turned around, and I'm very good friends with Johan van Graan, who's at Bath. He was at Munster. And I said to him, Coachy, I'm done. And he said, what do you mean? I said, I'm playing this season, and that's it. And he goes, done with what? I said, with the game. And it wasn't a decision that was made lightly. It took me 2 or 3 weeks, and that one just pushed it down. And it was my terms. I finished up. I was lucky enough. Those pictures you see there, I can't run into walls anymore. I loved it. But I played, every year, I played 2,650 minutes average. So that's 35 games a year. And that tired my body out and my soul, and the enjoyment was gone. My family was here in South Africa, and I missed them. And those things need to realign for a religion to be in place. You know? And I said, and again, I said to everyone, that's it. I'm going to pack up. Thanks for everything. And everyone was a little bit hartseer. Hulle was hartseer om te sien ek gaan. Maar I think my the way I live and the way I speak, they know I don't bring bullshit to the table. So when I said I'm done, they said, thank you. We appreciate your decision. So,
Wow.
yeah. And that was, if you look at it financially, there's a lot of financial guys here. My biggest contract was in 2022. That's the year I retired. So I left a bit of money on the table, but financial gain, my life started now, and I'm lucky enough to be in Paul with a great development company that challenges me every day and gives me opportunities to be here today. So my life, and that was a chapter. You know, I think, and I see our time is almost up here, but we want to define ourselves as people, what we do, not who we are. So you want to say, and I never wanted to be defined as a CJ rugby player. I want to be defined as a guy who's hopefully my wife says this. I'll ask her afterwards. I'm a great dad, and I support them, and I'm a right human being. You know, I just want to be a right human being, and I want to live my life and not be defined in my things like my job, my rugby. So, I mean, why not stop earlier and just move on?
100%. Guys, let's give him a big round of applause. That was awesome. Thanks very much. I hope you all learned something. CJ, it's been awesome chatting to you.
Thanks,
all the best.
Thank you.